Morning. For my presentation, it's important for you to know that among Japanese Americans, the first generation refers to the immigrants who first arrived on American shores, and that the second generation were the first to be born here. So that's kind of important as we go through the presentation. So Sounding Our Way Home, Japanese American Music Making and the Politics of Identity, is a book I'm currently writing. It's actually a personal project for me as a third generation Japanese American. So the book is an historiographical account in which I explore music making as it sheds light on this immigrant group's attempt to piece together an identity that would gain their rights as citizens in the US and allow them to become part of the national culture. First-generation musicians played or sang both Western and Japanese music styles. This photo of the Teikoku Band was the resident band at the Teikoku Hotel in San Francisco, and the group performed both American and Japanese popular music of the 1920s and 30s. This duo most likely also performed Western and Japanese folk and popular music. Many immigrant musicians chose to perform the music they brought with them from Japan in what I call sounding the homeland. This photo shows the Buddhist ceremonial procession here actually in Seattle, where Japanese court music is being played. So here, these are examples of the types of Japanese music. This is music called Naga Uta, narrative songs, and accompanied by an instrument called the shamisen, and this accompanied kabuki theater. This is the koto, which is an instrument that continues to be a part of the cultivation of a well-bred young woman. And so koto was taught to many young women. While men of the educated class played the biwa, the instrument here, four-stringed plucked lute, to accompany the singing of epic narrative songs. A majority of Japanese immigrants were farmers who emigrated to California, and they brought their folk music and dance with them. The voices of famous Japanese pop stars, such as Misori Hibari, pictured here, filled the living rooms of Japanese Americans. Sorry, we don't have time to listen anymore. Many of the second generation lived on the cultural cusp between a Japanese home life and an American education that taught them individualism, along with values and behaviors that contrasted sharply with their more reserved upbringing at home. The second generation performed a range of music: European classical, jazz, big band, and Japanese folk, classical, and popular genres. As the photo here illustrates, immigrant parents encouraged their offspring to study Japanese music and in dance in an attempt to instill pride in their heritage. The advent of World War II abruptly uprooted Japanese American life. The US government incarcerated and transported 110,000 Japanese Americans from the West Coast to 10 internment camps located in desolate parts of the western United States. Music making in the internment camps played a vital role in normalizing life and recreating a sense of community. Camp administrators organized musical activities and ensembles, such as the Boy Scout Drum and Bugle Corps, orchestras, concert bands, glee clubs, and jazz dance bands. Paradoxically, music making among the youth was a highlight for many of them who had never had the opportunity or time to perform. These activities helped to neutralize the trauma of being imprisoned and softened the harsh living conditions, bringing some sense of order and enjoyment. This photo is of a musical review showcasing a glee club and a jazz dance band. 9 out of 10 internment camps had jazz dance bands that played for social dances and community events. The following photos are of different bands in the internment camps. Here is the group called Music Makers, who performed at social dances for the youth at Poston Internment Center. Here are the Jive Bombers, Manzanar Internment Center. And this group, the story of this group is, as they practiced outside, as you see here, they directed their instruments and to the guard in the tower, playing the famous tune, "Don't Fence Me In." The Jivesters, Topaz Internment Camp in Utah, and Eddie Tanaka's Sierra Stars, a string band at the Manzanar Camp in California. This poignant photo illuminates the dilemma facing Japanese Americans. Pride in their Japanese heritage, represented by the shakuhachi player and Japanese children's and folk songs sung by this young girl, conflicted with their desire to be accepted as Americans, as expressed by the American flag in the background. A sea change took place among third-generation Asian American college students and cultural workers as they joined African American, Native American, and Latino students in the Third World Student Strike at San Francisco State University from 1968 to 69. The Third World Liberation Front organized the student strike to negotiate the inclusion of curriculum that represented the histories and contributions of Americans of color. Protests and subsequent negotiations resulted in the formation of the largest ethnic studies department in the country. Musicians Nobuko Miyamoto and Chris Ijima provided the soundtrack for the Asian American political movement that formed on the heels of the Third World Strike and protests against the Vietnam War. This duo's blues and leftist-inflected songs spoke against capitalism, racism, and sexism. Music as an agent for social and political change was their call.
In the ocean, oyster beds posed beneath the sea. Open one and
just a little
you
taste.
might find deep in one of different mind, one who.
Japanese taiko drumming is the quintessential Japanese American music. The thundering sound of the drums express the newly empowered identity and pride of Japanese Americans in acknowledging their heritage. Asian American musicians in San Francisco favored a free jazz style that symbolized their freedom from the social and political disenfranchisement that people of color face in this country. Bands such as the United Front represented the coalitions of people of color united in their struggle to improve their lives. Hiroshima, a band from Los Angeles, is the most commercially successful Asian American group founded and led by Dan and Jun Kuramoto. Jun's koto playing is the highlight of the band's performances, which also incorporate taiko drumming and Japanese flute playing in their jazz fusion and R&B music. You can hear their music in supermarkets, so you know that they've reached mainstream music. Thank you. That's it.